So, part two of my Calvinism or Bust series. So, this is the point where we're talking about what gives the series its title here, right? It seems like we're kind of in a fork in the road here. It seems like any variety of Christianity which gives you an infinitely powerful God um, leaves you really scratching your head when it comes to why do all these evil things happen. Why doesn't God just give an Emmaus experience to everybody, right? Why does God want to leave us out here in the cold? This way. But on the other hand, I mean, you can get away with it by kind of saying, well, what if we limit God? We have a God that's too weak, a God that's powerless to prevent evil, a God that really can't help me if somebody chooses to do harm to me. That God just has to stand by; his hands are tied. We don't really like that either. Well, I think there is a way out of this. But it's a rather radical solution, right? The solution is, I mean, if there's no God, then there's really no problem of evil, right? I mean, we have unpleasant things which happen to us, for sure, but they divide up into two categories, right? Category number one would be external things, external to the human race, right? Like tornadoes and typhoons and plagues and disease and this sort of thing, right? And there's the category number two would be internal things like slavery and greed and selfishness and war and all this kind of stuff, right? So, but isn't this sort of universe just too incomprehensible to comprehend either? I mean, it's like how horrible. I've read comments by people saying things like, I'd rather there be the Calvinist God who has a plan to the universe rather than just a universe with no plan whatsoever. I mean, things are just randomly happening to us. That seems kind of horrible too. Well, I mean, let's go back over these two categories of unpleasant things that happen to us, right? The external things, okay, we have technology is to help us with, right? I mean, for the plagues we make vaccines, and for the famines we invent agricultural technology, right? There's no reason why anybody on Earth should be hungry. There's no reason why, this sort of stuff, right? As time goes on, we'll accumulate more and more little hacks and tricks and stuff which help. I mean, the real problem, of course, is the internal problems, right? I mean, even today, it's like, like I said, there's no reason why anybody has to be hungry at all, but billions of us are going to bed hungry tonight. What's the solution for this? And the good news is we already know the solution to this, right? The solution is just take this, this principle which we already all agree on, do unto others as you have them do unto you, and we meditate on it until we become one with it, and we really put it into action here, right? I mean, everybody already, even the objectivists have some limited understanding of this principle, right? So it's like there's no reason why we can't do it. And you might say, I mean, yeah, you look at your news and you look, there's all kinds of evil things that are happening here. The question you got to ask yourself is there hope for the future or is there not? Well, if you look at the past, compare it with the present, I think we've made tremendous progress on several levels. First of all, slavery. Okay, there is no country on this planet today where slavery is legal. It's not to say it doesn't happen, but it used to be legal. It used to be accepted. It used to be expected that you'd have slaves. Now we don't do that anymore. Okay, so this is, I think, this is an unfolding of the principle of the golden rule, right? This is unfolding it. This is an expanding of its area. Child labor. We don't we have child labor laws. This is expanding of the principle. We still have racism, but it's no longer socially acceptable to be racist. So if you're like a Don Imus, right, deep in his heart, he's just a racist bastard, right? But at least he loses his job if he says something racist, right? So it's like this is progress, okay? It used to be that people will say this all the time, and it was just expected and normal, right? So gay marriage is another perfect example of this. Okay, we have this unfolding of this principle. So I think if we look back at history, we do have some reason to be optimistic here. I think that as time goes by, we get a better and better understanding of this principle, and I think that we apply it in more and more areas. And I think that's really the solution to number 2 there. Okay. Okay, so on to your rather heroic defense of God here. I have endless admiration for you. As Daniel would say, you have giant spiky balls, man. It's like you didn't take the shut up, he explained route, right? I mean, and you also didn't take the mystery route. I mean, it's like, and the mystery route is a perfectly acceptable route to me, actually. I mean, it's like, my cat could study this book on mathematical logic for 20 years, and my cat will never get that book, right? It's just beyond the power of my cat to understand this. And I would understand, I would accept, I mean, there's got to be things which are beyond my ability to comprehend too, right? So it's like, just saying that this is one of them, why shouldn't this be one of them, right? Okay, but he didn't do that, okay? And I really appreciate it. I really genuinely appreciate that you didn't do that. And hats off, man. That really takes theological fortitude, man. So, anyway, so basically what you say is, worst case scenario, right? Let's say that God really is like this, okay? God makes this literally God-forsaken creature, which is evil and hopelessly evil, has no choice but to perform evil. And then God mercilessly, literally mercilessly punishes that being infinitely for all time, tortures it for all time. How could this possibly be good, right? So basically what you're saying is, well, we have a being that's, shouldn't evil be punished? I mean, yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Sure, evil should be punished. Yeah, why not? But the thing is, the question you got to ask is this really a morally neutral act on the part of God? Okay, I would argue that it's not a morally neutral act on the part of God to create a being that creates a whole bunch of evil. And here's why. Okay, I think it comes back down to the golden rule again, right? I mean, it's like, is God really, when God creates this evil being, is God enacting towards this being the golden rule? And I don't think so. I don't think God is doing to that being what God would have that being do to you if the places were switched, right? So, I don't really see that is that way. Also, it's like, if an evil scientist did a similar thing, right? Say evil scientist made a clone of me that was like totally evil, and it was out there doing all kinds of evil things in the world, right? It might bear a startling resemblance to me, right? But, would we say that evil scientist, would that be a morally neutral act on the evil scientist's part? I don't think so. I think we would blame the evil scientist for doing something like that, right? So, and also you say, well, we have faith that God works out for good, everything for good for the elect, and we have faith that this is true. And the corollary of that is, God works out everything for ultimate evil for the reprobate, right? And also, I think it comes down to the golden rule again, okay? I think any time that you divide humanity into two different castes or classes and treat them differently, I think that's a fundamental violation of the golden rule. I mean, if I were in heaven, I would be literally prevented from exercising the golden rule towards the people in hell, right? I wouldn't be able to do unto them as they would, as they would want me to do to them, right? So it's like, I don't see how this cosmic scheme is there. And, okay, I understand, okay? It's like, it's not like, you said something like, you wouldn't expect an evil being to understand this. Okay, I understand, okay? I fall far short of any sort of infinitely perfect moral standard, I completely admit, I'm evil, reprobate, twisted by sin person, okay? That's not the question, okay? But the thing is like, why isn't there anything on Easter morning for me, right? I mean, it's like, even it seems like even in my position that I'm in, this epistemically mutated position that I'm in, even I understand that the golden rule should be applied, right? It's obvious to me that this is completely inequitable. Why wouldn't it be completely obvious to a perfect God that it's inequitable too? Anyway, thanks again, man.